Russian army is closing in near Kyiv, being 10 miles away. Kyiv may enter street fight within 1 week.
The American Psychological Association released a new survey about American people's stress.
San Francisco's new school district commissioner was appointed after the recall, and we will see what she plans to do.
Featured interview, the Ukrainian American storytelling continues tonight.
Hello everyone, welcome to Wei and Kathy Show. I'm your host Wei Fang.
I'm Kathy Zhang.
All right, we have a full pack of information for you. So let's start with the current situation in Ukraine. The Russian military closing in Kyiv, and it is reportedly only 10 miles away. As they move along, they bombarded or shelled the neighborhood to drive people away, according to the Fox News reporter Trey East in Ukraine. A scorched earth type of tactic is being adopted by the Russian military as they push forward.
News of the attack comes hours after the Pentagon said that Russian forces are building momentum as they inch closer to the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. And it was said that there's a Russian bombardment and shelling going on quite violently as we speak. That's from the Pentagon spokesperson, John Kirby. He told a reporter today, and he said, and we do assess that the Russians are beginning to make more momentum on the ground towards Kyiv, particularly from the east.
And the retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, who is the former executive secretary and once the acting National Security Council for President Trump, actually told the media today that the battle for Kyiv would be the culminating battle and will decide the fate of the entire war. As a matter of fact, General Kellogg said normally for a street fight or alley fight for a city, the invading army needs to have a 3-to-1 ratio. Basically, you have 3 soldiers on the offense side versus 1 soldier on the defense side, and then in a normal war, I'm sorry, I have to correct myself. But in the alley fight or street fight, you have to be from 6 to 10 to 1. You have to have vastly superior number of your military. But that will remain to be seen. How much military would the Russia bring into this fight? And then this could become another version of the Stalingrad street fight or the Leningrad during the Second World War. So we'll see. The whole world would hold its breath, okay, in the next 1 or 2 weeks as we see the battle for the capital of the Ukraine unfold.
Okay, so now let's see what are the biggest factors that make American people stressed. Today, March 11th, 2022, marks the second anniversary of the COVID-19 global pandemic declaration by the WHO. So what has changed? The American Psychological Association partnered with the Harris Poll to conduct a survey between February 7th and the 14th. It was also then supplemented by a late-breaking poll filled on March 1st to 3rd. So what are the findings?
Yeah, overall, 41% of the U.S. adults said the level of stress in their lives have increased compared with before the pandemic, and while 63% said their life has been forever changed by the COVID-19 pandemic. And the second one is the inflation, and the issues related to the invasion of the Ukraine are rated as the biggest stressors than any other issue in the survey. That was actually started way back in the 2007, which is 15 years ago. So we really got a new concern or new issue or new stressors and for this year. And what are they?
So what are the most sources of stress for the American people? So let's take a look at the chart C1. So inflation actually amongst the most concern. there are 87% of the surveyed people saying that's they're mostly concerned. Then the supply chain issue accounts for 81%. Then third is the global uncertainty, 81%. After that, that's a potential retaliation from Russia, 80%. And Russia invasion of Ukraine, 80%. And the 63% people said that their life has been forever changed by this pandemic.
Well, the same survey also addressed the feeling of people, okay, and then we do have some rating here. So let's report it to you about, the rating of the feelings. 87% of the surveyed people, basically they're all adults, said it feels like there has been a constant stream of crisis without a break over the last 2 years. And 84% of the respondents said the Russian invasion of Ukraine is terrifying to watch.
And 73% of the respondents agree that they are overwhelmed by the numbers of crises facing the world right now. 69% of them saying that they are worried the invasion of Ukraine is going to lead to nuclear war. 69% of the respondents saying that the fear that we are at the beginning stage of World War III.
Well, let's talk about the money, okay? The surveyed adults who noted money as a source of stress and increased to 65% compared to all the previous years. And the economy as a significant source of stress also stand at exactly the same rate, 65%. And as you can see, last year it was 61% and 59%. And no, not last year, last June. And the last year at this time is 55%, 58%.
So from the last year, it's 8% of increase.
Right. More people are start worrying about the money and our economy.
So how are the concerns of the money and economy among the age groups, the differences? The survey shows that younger adults aged from 18 to 43 were more likely than those ages 44 plus to report money as a significant source of stress. We can see that from age 18 to 25, 82% of them are.
Basically, virtually just all of them,
yeah,
right? 82%.
So most of them.
Young people.
Then from 26 to 43, that's 81%.
Almost the same.
Mm-hmm. Then 44 to 57, it decreased to 68%. From age of 58 to 76, 43%. And 77 up, 21%.
If we look at the ethnic group, okay, different ethnic group have they note money to be a significant stressor in different way, okay, and the highest rate is the Latino. 75% of the surveyed Latino adults, they noted money is the significant stressor source for them, and then the Black adults is 67%, and the white people 63%. Asian is a little surprising to me, okay? Only 57% of the Asian, they noted the money to be a significant stressor.
I think one of probably the factors is that, Asians are more, they are into saving.
Yeah, they just save.
Mm-hmm. So from the economic standpoint, it's just similar. From Latino, 73%, Black, 65%, white, 63%, and Asian, 60%.
And look at another group, okay? The parents. Basically, people who has children versus the people who do not have children, their stress level is different in terms of how they see the money as the stress source, okay? And for parents, it's as high as 80%, while people without children is 58%.
Wow, yeah, that's a drastic difference.
Right.
From the economic standpoint, similar for the parents, 77% seeing the economic as a source of stress versus non-parents, 59% only.
Yep. Another breakdown is to look at urban area compared to suburban area, all right? And actually, people living in the urban area, the percentage of people who see money as the major stressor is 70% versus 63% in suburban area. All right, on the economy side, urban 68% versus 61%. In the suburban area.
And in terms of life has been forever changed by this pandemic, actually then Asian tops among all the ethnic groups. That's 69%, followed by Latino, 67%, and the white adults, 51% only.
And well, apparently things are going worse because 51% adults disagree that overall their life has got healthier over the course of the pandemic. And 42% of the adults said they have relied upon a lot of unhealthy habits to get themselves through the last 2 years. So you talk about drinking alcohol and possibly smoking, things like that, if not, God forbid, drugs.
Well, actually, it has been, at least in San Francisco, I think in around the country, the drug overdose death actually really has been very high during the past 2 years.
It's horrifying, actually.
Yeah.
And another breakdown has to do with the being active, how active people are, right?
So 47% people saying that they have been less active than they wanted to be since the pandemic started, and close to 3 in 5 of them, in line with 61% this time last year, reported experiencing undesired weight changes.
Well, basically weight gain.
And men are more likely to say that they have been drinking more alcohol during the pandemic to cope with the stress. That's 25% for men versus 20% for women.
Yeah, basically 23% of American men, all right? I'm sorry, 23% of Americans said they have been drinking more alcohol during the pandemic to cope with their stress. And people who said they have been drinking more alcohol to cope with the stress reported consuming an average of 10 drinks per week. Well, I guess 10 drinks, 1 point something, more than one drinks a day. And compared to an average of 2 drinks for people who did not report, drinking more. So basically, if you stay the same regardless of the pandemic, then the amount of the alcohol taken is also stay the same. But if you increase that, wow, it's 6 times, right? It's, 5 times. Yeah, much, much higher.
Yeah, so overall, over the past 2 years, younger generations, Latino adults, and the parents have consistently reported more stress than others.
And the survey break down they just give a mark as design system where, 0 point is the no stress, 10 points is the max stress. So basically for people aged 18 through 25, their stress level is 5.8. And if you move them to the next almost 10 years, 26 to 43, it's a 5.5, okay? But for people who are aged 77-year-old, their stress level is 3.7. So it just, decrease as you age more. And the Latino adults reported an average stress level related to the pandemic of 5.5, okay? Compared to white people, which is 4.9. And as parents reported a higher average current stress level, which is 5.6 compared to 4.7 for those who have no children. Interesting enough, next is about the Democrat versus Republican.
Yeah, is there any difference of a source of stress for for people in different political spectrum? So the survey shows that the employed adults has versus non-employed is 5.3 versus 4.6, and Democrats has more stress than the Republicans and the independents. So the level comes this from Democrats 5.4, Republicans 4.7, and independent, it's in the middle, 4.8.
I really want to get your input there. How to understand this? Okay, Democrats is apparently feel more stressful than a Republican, but they won the election. Well, they have the presidency, they have the Congress, and so on and so forth. They should feel happy, but the Republican seems to feel less stressful. So what's going on here?
But I think considering like the previous data we show, right?
Yeah.
The ethnic groups the age groups.
Right.
I think combining all that, because the younger people probably more Democrats, right?
You're saying that Democrats are younger.
Right. Well, I think that's a fact, right?
Interesting. I'm not totally convinced because that's a cut. That's a, yeah, you could be right. I don't know. What's your opinion? And it's when this survey is saying that Democrats feel more stressed than Republican. What could be the reason? Are they younger, or inherently Democrats just have more stress for whatever reason?
Well, yeah. So that's a good question. So yeah, what do you think? Please share with us.
Yeah,
it would be interesting to know. So and who used more emotion support over the pandemic?
Support, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are people who don't use the emotional support. Okay, their level is 6.9 versus 3.6. So supporting is very important. Okay, so generally speaking, believe it or not, it's all bad news, right? You won't feel too happy about all the survey result, and there's one silver lining. Okay, on the positive side, 7 in 10 Americans, 71% to be precise, said they have gotten better at prioritizing what is important to them because of the pandemic. And more than half, 53%, has enjoyed having fewer plans than they did before the pandemic.
Okay.
Well, this is the bright side of staying home, have less work to do, being less active, right? So you slow down a little bit, right?
Right. And the other positive side, which will relate to the next story we will be sharing with you, is the parents actually got to know what their kids are being taught at school and, starting to take action. That's happened not only in Virginia, also in San Francisco and around the country. So, yeah. Please stay for our next story. But before that, I wanted to kind of share with our audience, because we talk about the stress, right? The source of stress, but how to cope with that.
Right.
Some people resort to more alcohol, maybe even drug. Those are not healthy, desirable options. But some people actually, they found something really, really positive, which we shared with you before, is a performance, a traditional Chinese classical dance show called the Shen Yun. And there are more and more reports showing that actually those are all the feedbacks from the audience, showing that actually watching Shen Yun not only just have them to enjoy the beautiful dance and the culture, understanding the ancient culture of China without communism, but actually it brings the real physical benefits.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there are many reports. We can share with you more, but it's like I interviewed people who just were on the walker, and they just felt like so much healthier after watching the show. And there are also reports, like for example, I read this report, which is Shen Yun just showed in New York. And this 72-year-old gentleman called Walter Dixon, he was on the walker, and but afterwards, after the show, he was walking without the walk. And he said, I usually use walking sticks. I'm not using them right now, this minute. I'm standing without them. And he has Parkinson's disease. And he had trouble getting here. And after the show, he walked right out of the theater. And he said, I don't know what happened. He said he skipped the church that day to watch Shen Yun, and he said he felt sitting in the theater watching Shen Yun is like in the mass.
Oh wow, yeah. So people stay at home. They're afraid of going out. The people that a lot of people gather. But if you only got one chance to choose, I also suggest you choose to watch Shen Yun.
Yeah, and Walter Dixon said the whole thing was healing. Really made me feel calm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely Walter Dixon is not the only one feeling like that. So yeah, and Shen Yun is still touring around different cities. So check shenyun.com to see if where you live or near where you live, there's a show going on there, and we totally recommend you not to miss that.
Yep. So Tony, if you can, or Darren, just post the Shen Yun website link at the chat room so that our people can get to see it. Okay, let's move on. So a couple of months ago, there's this San Francisco school district recall.
Actually, just a month ago.
Oh, one month ago.
Yeah,
in February.
February 15th.
Mid-February, yeah. So surprisingly, okay, 72 through 79% of people approve of recalling 3 school district commissioners. So really shocked the whole entire nation, and it became the news of the nation. So now, after that recall, because it's not the time for the next election yet, the mayor of San Francisco shall appoint 3 new people to fill their seats. And who they are, and we have one of them tonight.
Yeah. So San Francisco Mayor London Breed today announced her 3 new appointees who replaced recalled members of the San Francisco Board of Education. So let's hear what the mayor said during this today's press conference. Z1.
And I'm so proud that we have 3 amazing women who all have kids in our public school system, who all had a common theme of service, who all care deeply about seeing a change, who all want better for our children, and who also care about supporting our educators, who understand that there are hard decisions ahead of us, and who are willing to ignore the politics to focus on our kids. This is not about what they will do according to what I want them to do. These are 3 very strong, capable women. Who I am confident will do what is best for our children, for our educators, and for the school district.
So who are the 3 women that she appointed? So they are Anne Shu, Lani Montamedo, and Lisa Wiseman Ward. So all of whom are currently the parents of students in San Francisco Public School in different districts of San Francisco. London Breed said that all 3 new appointees were willing to ignore the politics, as you heard, in order to focusing on the very basic things. And these 3 new board members, they from 3 different districts in San Francisco, Richmond, Sunset, and Mission. Among them, you can notice, Anne, very petite woman, Anne Shu, who is actually an immigrant from China. Anne Shu was born in Beijing and is a former tech entrepreneur. She immigrated to the United States at age of 11. Currently, she lives in the city's Richmond district and is the president of Galileo's, that's a high school. It's a parent-teacher student association. She is also the chairperson of the San Francisco Unified Schools District's Independent Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And she involved in the recall petition effort, just started last November, actually. Just only a couple months. Yeah, but the fact that she was involved in the school district's Independent Citizens Bond Oversight Committee also just not long ago. And so because I had a long interview with her previously, which I would share with our audience later. But so she's really never had any political experience. Okay, so let's first hear what Mayor say about why she was chosen.
She is a fierce advocate for children, for her sons who attend this school. She's participated in the PTA. But it wasn't just that drew me to Anne. Anne, who her education is in engineering, who started her own businesses, who's worked in tax, who started and sold companies, who understands management and balance sheets and finances and all of those things when it comes to business, is one of the biggest reasons why I thought she would be perfect, especially as we deal with a major budget deficit. And she served on the board's bond oversight committee to help with addressing the challenges of what we need to do around how we spend money on responsibly on supporting and enhancing our public schools all over San Francisco.
All right, so here we have Anne Shu. I just interviewed her a moment, not long ago. Anne, congratulations.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, so, tell us, did you expect you will be one of the appointees by the mayor?
I did not expect to be one, but suspected
Okay.
that perhaps I would be one. I think many of us expected to have at least one Chinese appointee. But
Yeah.
there are a number of us who are good candidates, so I did not expect for me to be the one. There's already one Chinese commissioner who's a president of the board right now, Commissioner Lam. But she does not speak Chinese very well, so she cannot directly communicate with the Chinese community in Chinese. So I think the fact that I can communicate in Chinese with the community in San Francisco, I think that would add something to, let's say, add the voices of the Chinese community to the Board of Education. So I'm hoping to enable that part more. I feel very honored, and I'm actually very excited to get to work. Especially, I'm so happy that the two fellow new commissioners, they are very competent women who I think we can get work done. So I'm very excited to be working with them.
So, what would be the priorities once you and the other two new commissioners on board?
The two immediate priorities are, one is the budget. We need to get next year's budget in shape. And then the secondly is to hire a new superintendent.
This recall has already attracted a nationwide attention. So, what do you think? As the new board members on board, like you and the other two, what would be the lesson or the message you will be sending to parents and the school boards around the nation?
I think the mayor said it herself. The adults are in the house. Mothers are here. We're going to focus on our children, focus on education, no politics, and just give our children the best education that we can. So that's what we're going to be singularly focused on. I'm so happy that the other two women are mothers and professional women who are competent in our own fields. And when we work together as a team with the current board members, two of them were there today, I think we can get a lot done and really put politics aside and really focus on the children.
All right, so that's Anne Shu, the new San Francisco Board of Education Commissioner.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, hopefully that she will find room to, to apply her skill and her passion. Her passion. Well, follow the story. Hopefully, sometime down the road, we can bring you the update of the new school district committee. All right, the next we're gonna move back to the Ukraine, and on Wednesday there was a story by this former Ukrainian in Florida, who's quite a storyteller.
Yeah, so his name, is Vladimir Yermak, and he still have his mom, his brother, and the sister in the city of Kyiv.
While you say that, let me interrupt. I checked the Kyiv. It's really in the northern. It's a northern city near the border. Okay.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable. It's not even taken. It's just so close to the border.
Yeah, that's what Volodymyr said. The city mayor actually got an award because he, and his citizens just, like protect
Right.
this city so well.
Yeah, if you look at the map, okay, look at the occupied territory map, it's like, his city just like in the mouth of a tiger.
Yeah, it's
And still stick there.
yeah, it's really on the border,
Right. It's
northern border.
Quite amazing. Quite amazing. Oh, anyway, okay, let's hear the story.
Yeah, so he last time he shared, how his family members are doing over there, how they cope with the bombing and everything. So I also asked him, what are the lessons? Because right now a lot of people care about what Taiwan, will be. How would Taiwan to cope with if, in case the CCP wanted to attack the same, similar to what Russia is doing to Ukraine. So actually, like Volodymyr, he shared how one of the tactics of Putin did was, buying off people, sending some Russians into places like the Crimea and the other two cities in the East Ukraine to pretend to be people, wanting for independence, wanting for to be an independent republic territory and protesting, right? So I just ask Volodymyr, the next segment we started with this question is because we all know that Chinese Communist Party that they all always played the same similar tactic is to divide within the country or the territory, the region, so that they can insert a wedge between the people, of their target. So I just asked Volodymyr what he thinks that Taiwanese people can learn from that.
First of all, never give up, right? You never give up. You see, Russia is very against nationalism of Ukraine. Why? Because that is what defines Ukraine. So for Taiwan, I think there has to be nationalism very strongly developed. Within the last 7 years in Ukraine, I haven't seen that many flags. I mean, I haven't seen throughout all the years as many flags as within the last 7 years. Flags are everywhere. People started speak Ukrainian only as much as they can. All the governments, they use only their own language. And I don't know what the language is. I don't know what, the symbolism there. But that part is huge. That's what unites people. The recognition signs. That's what people really made out of. So just being as committed to the nation you are, I think is like number one thing. Because even right now, like for example, this is a little thing, right? But as people speak Ukrainian, for example, there are Russians that sometimes they'll change their clothes, right? And they'll try to invade into a city like in an ambulance or, as if they are not Russian, right? So how do you know, right? How do you find out if they are infiltrating, right? You ask them a couple questions to say things in Ukrainian, and they cannot say, they cannot say the words. They don't know the language. So you see, I'm not sure, like I said, how with Taiwan and China, how closely they are, but this was a big defining thing. And now we have lots of jokes on Facebook, say palyanitsa, in Russian say palyanitsa, right? But we could hear, like, oh, you're Russian, like we could tell, Another thing, I think people just need to know who they are, like as a nation, and just be committed to that and be strong. Just remember, anything that will cause you or like insist in you like some sort of a bad emotion against Taiwan, that's not from Taiwan. Do not read that stuff. This is exactly what I'm assuming China would do and any communists will do. They'll create conflicts that are fake. Don't look into that. So I don't know, just these couple of things I think will make a big difference. Yeah, and people have to be united. They have to trust. They have to really just stand up for each other. And also, the last thing I'll mention. So, in a war, what happens is you kind of, the civilians hide, and then you have the military that controls areas, right, in the city. So, there's a group of people who is responsible for, order within this block, right? That's what happens in Ukraine right now. I think people in Taiwan should do that even without the war. Take responsibility for your surrounding. Look see what's going on, try to understand, try to get to know your neighbors, try to understand who is there and why. Because in Ukraine, we have people who moved into Ukrainian apartments, right? A couple months before this started. And these people now, were giving coordinates for rocket hits, right? So you understand, like, oh, this was a spy coming in. But if you care about your surroundings, if you care about your neighbors, if you always connect with each other, if you talk, if you will understand these things. These are like, these are big things. And so, and internet, of course, filter out the messages, really find the news sources that are good.
To what extent the Ukrainian people are aware of Putin's agenda and the communism, always just trying to get in?
I think they were not as aware until, the time with Yanukovych. And, people, I think most of the people, they don't really want to get involved in politics. So it was kind of waves, so they realized, oh, wow, Yanukovych wanted to go this way. No, we don't want that. And I think it kind of just calmed down, right? But then we see Donetsk, Lugansk, and they were like, no way, right? So I think it most comes and goes, with that. However, we can make a strong conclusion, I think, right now that just the level of defense that you're seeing, from military of Ukraine and from civil people, we could tell that people really much aware. Like, for example, there is about 100,000 people joined army, as a free volunteers, right? So basically, the Ukrainian army just gives them a weapon, and even though they didn't have experience, but they tell them you can defend, and it's called the territorial defense, right? So anyone can do it. From that, we could make a conclusion. They are really aware. They really understand the issue. Yeah.
So anything else you would like to share?
There's this rumor, right, that this is the beginning of the World War III, and possibly that this is going to lead to much bigger conflict. And today in the news, I saw that 7 of the United States websites, defense websites, were hacked by China from 7 different states. And you still see these little, hints and things like that. But I really hope for the people that hear this, they will understand. You gotta be, even though, you may not watch the news, you may not want to listen to this. I really invite everyone to still do watch some of the news and some of the things that are pertaining to international politics, so that you can understand and so that you can make decisions based on that, so that you can be prepared, so that you can be aware, because you got to educate yourself on these issues. Even though, they say politics are dirty, but listen, if you don't get involved, that's how they get us. That's how Ukraine basically gets separated from Russia, because we are involved. But in Russia, people are not involved. And so you see this growing to such an extent, they cannot throw down their own guy, right? So I hope people in Taiwan, they really get involved. I hope they stand for their nation, for their culture, that's been there, I hope, for many, many years. So they stay loyal, they stay strong, and never give up, because I think the light will prevail. And that's what really this war is about. Is literally dark against evil. So always choose the light, and I hope people who hear this, they'll be able to understand clearly the conflict, that is in Taiwan or Russia or Ukraine, and make the right choices accordingly.
So how much a connection between Putin and the communist China? What do you know about that?
I think the connection is a lot bigger than we see on the news, on the TV. And I think connection is very strong. First of all, and here's the reasoning I have, right? Why do I think this way? First, both of Russia and China are sharing the same type of control of people. I don't even call it the government. I don't think communist is the government. I think it's the type of control and slavery for people. I don't think it has the right even to be called the government. And you see, if they share the same way, we see President Putin visiting China before the Olympics or during the Olympics. Then we see the rumor, and this was all over the news, U.S. intelligence on Reuters saying that Putin may not invade until the end of the Olympic Winter Games. And what do we see? As soon as the Olympic Games are over, we see the invasion to Ukraine. Right? That there's no chance that they are not in some sort of understanding. I think Russia just didn't want to take over all the news and all the attention from China, right? So we see that there's some sort of connection. And then sanctions. So if you listen to what Russians are saying right now, Russia is under severe sanctions. The worst that there could be. The only countries that had these type of sanctions are Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea. Right? There's nothing there. I mean, you're looking at, their oil, they're rich on oil, right? Venezuela has a lot of oil, but nobody's buying it. So basically, Russia is being cut off in this way. So the sanctions are hurting Russia from the Western side, but Russia still finds a way, and they say publicly, "Oh, we will sell our oil and gas to China." What? Like how does that work? Well, no wonder why. To me, it's obvious, right? If Putin Putin doesn't leave country for many times to make some of the agreements, but he went to China, and you look at the China's. Okay, let's see the China's position right now. Is China saying, we're going to sanction Russia? No, they're not. Even if they will, it's not going to hurt the people, right? So unfortunately, I see very strong connection, and I wish I could say otherwise. But in my opinion, I think the connection is so strong that they are almost in union.
Thank you so much, for open to me and sharing all what you think.
Thank you, Kathy. It's a pleasure. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share this with you and your audience.
All right. So and that's
Good
my interview.
Kathy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so that'd be all for today. So now we need to end, right, with the jokes.
Oh, maybe before that, let's just read out some of the comments, right?
Absolutely.
So our friend here, Down with CCP, I think that's his or her name. All the old people I know are Democrats. All the young people I know are conservatives. That's interesting, right?
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, that's what.
That's contrary to what most people's experience.
Mm-hmm. Right, and a comment from William S. My stress level is much lower than my anger at leftists. Okay. And all right, so from Luis Fernandez, they are feeling guilty. I don't know any Democrats that outwardly spoke against Trump. They are all now silent. And he goes on, said 10 to 15% will be like that, living in denial until they trigger. It's our duty to trigger them. So that's, I think, the responses to the news that we just reported about the stress level survey. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Yep. Okay.
So now the joke time?
Not a joke, actually. It's a piece of news reporting. And this is genuine news reporting, okay? I'm reading you from an open letter from Ukraine's corruption prevention agency, the director of the agency, okay? He published an open letter on his website, his agency's website, praising Russian Minister Shoigu, who's the defense minister, for corruption in the army. Okay, just some highlight, okay? He said he appreciated sincerely for the defense minister of the Russia doing such a good job to making sure that all the resource and key components of the Russian army was already stolen away before the war. And he gave a few cases. One case, he said that the Ukrainian army discovered that the protection of the Russian tanks T-72 and the T-80 were made from the cardboard egg trays.
Cardboard egg trays?
Yeah. So basically,
on the tank?
Yeah, the tank has those kind of, those armors, right, who are extra, just to strengthen a particular vulnerable area. And then when the tanks was grabbed or went over, captured, yes, they found those armors were actually made from the cardboard egg tray. This is one thing. The second, the bulletproof vest of the Russian forces are made of the cardboard again, instead of the armored plates. And in the letter, he said such bulletproof vests were worn by the crew member of the Russian T-armored car captured by the Ukrainian army. Thanks to such powerful protection, now the armored car served in the ranks of the Ukrainian Defense Force and helped to resist the aggressor. So, those, how to say, tank men, they just wear this paper,
Yeah, they don't. They know that it's not going to protect them at all.
Well, that's the only thing they can get hold of, I guess. So the case 3 is Russian army used the ZIL 130 to transfer its soldiers. He said, although the truck must be very comfortable for the Russian soldiers to be in, it's a bright aquamarine color of the vehicle and the lack of the coverage make it an easy target, even for the inexperienced weapon users. So we use those trucks as our training vehicles, training target.
Wow.
And so that's some other things.
About the food.
The food, yeah, okay. You probably heard of this, okay? When they captured the Russian army, and he said that their food, their how to say, their meal box has already expired in 2015. So due to that, the Russian soldiers left their equipment and went to the village and find those farmers and surrendered to them because they need a piece of bread.
Yeah, not to eat those expired food.
Right.
Right.
So that's genuine. This is not I don't make this up. This is truthful stuff. And also talking about this this fake bioweapon, right? Bioweapon biolab thing. And I just have a joke here. Okay, this has to do with the Russian. Okay, Soviet Union. A former a foreign delegation came unexpectedly to a collective farm. Remember, they got a lot of such in Soviet Union time. There was no time to prepare. Okay, so the delegation just toured the village and then left. And the chairman of the collective farms was so angry and mad, he called the district party committee. You didn't warn me in advance, so they saw everything. The ruined cow sheds and all the dirt and all our misery and the poverty. And the party secretary said, don't worry. But now they will tell the entire world about it. The party secretary said, so let them indulge in their usual slander.
Okay, did you get that?
Well, okay. Then talking about the KGB, right? You remember, we still need to review a little bit about the cruelty of the KGB. I think I told this before. I'm sorry.
Just go for it.
Yeah, okay. The mummy, right? Mummy. A mummy was found in Egypt, and the archaeologists could not determine its origin. Then a Soviet advisor offered his help. So the mummy was delivered to the Soviet embassy. Just in 45 minutes, the Soviet advisor appeared and said, his name is Amankohakip, 23rd, and he's 10,536-year-old. How do you know? The archaeologist asked. The advisor said, very simple. We apply our technique, and he confessed.
How a mummy can confess.
Yeah, nobody can resist KGB's brutality. Questioning skill and their capability.
Wow. So
right.
Well, if that's KGB, now it's the CCP.
Yeah, now it's the CCP. Yeah, indeed.
Let's I just noticed a few more comments from our audience. Rob said, "Who is not for the children?" But as we all see, the schools are such a disaster at this point. We should start over. And Louis said, I think he's, talking about Ann Shu, who was the new appointee by the mayor as the new San Francisco school board member. He said this is a great example of people, patriots stepping up and challenging the corrupt status quo. Hollis had a series of comments about all elected public officials are required to be bonded. Yeah, so that's...
The next, I think we're going to read the... Yeah, he said, we the people, the community from whom the bond holder, right, is obligated to serve. Well said. Well said.
Yeah. So, and what else? Robert said China is the big winner in all this.
Yeah, for now, I guess, for now. But in the long run, China will stand to lose. I mean, CCP will stand to lose.
And Louis commented on the last interview, he is spot on about community organizations to protect their people and the territory, but a little naive about who the good guys, bad guys are, and the media's motives. So I think, I was really asking about how the tactics of the, Putin and the CCP are using just to buy off people, become their spies, to go into the community to divide the people and divide the community, and pretending they are one of them. They are really exploiting the open system in the democratic or republic society. So I think that's one of the tactics people need to realize that. Yeah. And
Okay.
Matt said you guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. All right, I guess that'll be all for tonight, and thank you very much for watching us. Make sure you click on the
Subscription.
button, the bell, and the thumb up. And thank you for staying with us. I hope you have a great night, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah.
I'll see you on next Monday.
Take care.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.